marks week 4, and that's crazy. And that's 4 classes for the 4-class series. So that's August. Now, I know I had mentioned and everything that that obviously there will be access to all of the videos throughout the whole month of September, and through that beginning to that date in October that I had said. I don't have it on me. However, in the beginning of October, and then there'll be further, obviously we'll talk about further access to that, as well as new classes coming up. But I also wanted to address, I did mention, obviously, I haven't touched on this yet, but the couple bonus classes, I wanted to make sure before we fully complete class number 4 tonight, the 4th live, the bonus classes. So one is going to be a restorative class. It's going to be a restorative base. We're going to be focusing on really giving some nice recovery stretches with a low hammock, and for the majority of it will be low hammock, and it will be focusing on our lower back, obviously our spine, but that lower spine, our hips, really opening our hips, really opening up all of the hamstrings, IT bands, all of those muscles, those tight muscles throughout our body, throughout our lower half. So it'll be a restorative low hammock class, and I am going to be holding it next Monday, and that will be same time. We'll do it at 7 p.m. I might throw a poll out there to see if there's any other if there are any other opinions as to a better time for a live for that. However, with that, same as always, it will be posted on the page afterwards. So if you can show up for the live, great. If you can't, no matter what, you get a chance to see it. So I did want to take a moment to talk on that. Then we will break on a new class for a couple weeks, and then that final bonus that I was telling you about will be a full-out hour-long class, and we will be working on and adding in the things that we did through our series, both this series, the front belt series, and a couple things that I am going to be introducing in the upcoming series, which will focus on the upper half of our body. We'll start to focus on training our grip strength, training our shoulders, back, arms, all those big beautiful aerial muscles that we need. So that will be, I don't have a date for that yet, but it'll be a few weeks into September, and I will give you a time. There will be a couple polls coming up over the next couple weeks in regards to that class, and maybe timing, as well as a couple questions I do have. So that is the 2 bonus classes that I wanted to make sure to give you a little information about. But again, this week, probably Wednesday, I will post and then email to those who don't receive the post information that I just said here about the bonus classes. And lastly, again, I will be putting this up later too, but if you're here or when you are watching this later, I have not just brushed over or forgotten about the gifts that I have actually for the members who have signed up. I do need to collect some addresses, so please, nothing public, send me a DM, and I need addresses. Like I said, I'll be emailing and reaching out to everybody. So I know the upper body. Me too. We all have a lot of building to do. So I'm super excited for that too, Charlotte. All right. So with that being said, I will get addresses. I will reach out to each one individually, or you'll all get a message, and then you can respond to me individually with that information so that I can get those out to you over the month of September. Okay. Now with that, let's go ahead and we're going to get started today. We are going to do something a little bit different because we have not done this yet in our series, and I do know all the people that are involved, all of the members so far that are involved, all have a certain amount of aerial experience. So we're going to be going into an inversion, a decompression inversion to start today's class. So we're really going to start off with a nice stretch, opening up our spine, allowing ourselves to really get a nice stretch before we work things up and build a sweat up. So my disclaimer to you If you are not comfortable in inversions, if for some reason maybe you have not been in them in a while, you are not feeling that you are wanting to do them today, or you're just still not comfortable doing them without being in a studio, please by all means sit this one out and we will move forward after that. So with that being said, we're going to come into our inversion first by standing at the front of our hammock here. And now you can choose to create a little pouch if you would like for yourself, and if you want to do that, you can grab onto the front edge of your hammock, either gathering at the front edge of your hammock till you're about halfway through, if you like a pouch that wraps around from the top of your thighs all the way to the top of your hips, or if you like to have a little bit more of an actual decompression of the spine, a little bit more of a deep tissue massage here around your waist and your hips, then I suggest go ahead and go into a belt. We'll go into a back belt inversion here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get into it facing away from you, as you will get into it so that you can face towards the camera. That way you have the ability to open your eyes, close them, peek open and see me if there's any question as to what I'm saying. But as always, I will be as verbal as I can to try to walk you through a full release and full decompression throughout this first stretch. So standing here, and again, I'm going to be doing this backwards so that I can face you. You can find yourself getting into the hammock either way, whether you're facing the hammock or facing the camera or away from the camera. So I'm going to be standing here in front of my hammock. The hammock's going to be draping behind me. My arms are going to come high above my head and to the back side of the hammock. Grabbing onto the hammock here, thumbs on the inside, fingers wrapped around the outside. I'm going to grab onto my hammock like a rope. I want to make sure that the hammock or the belt from my hammock or fabric is going to be at my lower sacrum. So I'm going to come high up on the tippy toes here, maybe walk back a couple steps so that as you walk back, the hammock or fabric tightens here at your lower sacrum. This is a very important point. Do not allow that hammock to rest up here in the small of your back or below your rib cage. This will cause your spine to curve and a hard time to release those spines or release the tension here in your spine. So we're going to come high up on our toes, backing up here, locking the hammock at your back belt tension. Now you can bend your knees slightly as you walk forward, bringing your belly and your hips under your hanging point or your center point. We're going to float our knees, bending them out to the side. Toes come together in a saucer pose here. And as you hold onto the hammock, never letting go, here with your hands, we're going to open up those legs into a big wide straddle. As you slowly start to drop the crown of the head back, wrap the legs around the front side of the hammock here, so you're high-fiving your feet together here on the face side of the hammock. Now when you feel that you're nice and secure, make sure that the hammock's in the right spot. You want to make sure, like I said, that hammock is in the lower sacrum, so below where your pant line sits here, below where your hip bones are, and above your bum cheeks. We're going to go ahead now, and when you're ready, release those hands down to the mat or the ground. We're going to walk our heels as close down to the body as we comfortably can, pressing the soles of the feet together in a prayer pose here, toes facing up towards the ceiling. We're going to take both of our hands here, bring them on the inside of our knees, inner thighs here. Take a big breath in. As you exhale, press the inner parts of your knees so that you're pushing the outer knees back towards the room behind you. Gently squeezing the glutes here at the sides of the thighs where the thighs meet the glutes. Inhale. As you exhale, keep pressing back on the knees. And on your next exhale, we're going to soften the arms, bending at the elbows. Soften the hips, soften the legs, keeping the soles of the feet together for now in prayer pose. Now you can close your eyes at any time, helping to dive into the body a little bit deeper with the breath. Either way, you're going to bring the arms out to both sides, palms facing up here. Closing the eyes, take a deep breath in through the nose. Allow that fresh breath all the way up into your chest, filling up the lungs, opening up and expanding the rib cage. Feeling the chest broaden, feeling your belly fill. Maybe a little lower back arch as that belly fills with fresh air. And as you exhale, allow the belly to fall. Allow gravity to start to sink the shoulder blades and shoulders down towards the mat. Allow a softness to come over your shoulders, the tops of your arms, your elbows, your forearms, even your fingertips. Continuing with a big breath, deeply breathing in through the nose, drawing that fresh breath all the way up through the lungs, once again into the belly, feeling that breath now come up through your hip bones, up over your hip sockets, over the knees, over the shins, all the way up to your toes here. As you exhale, go ahead and wiggle out your toes. Circle out your ankles as you allow that breath to melt down over your legs, dripping back over the knees and the tops of the thighs. Softening the hip bones, or softening the muscles that wrap around the hips and the hip bones. Allow the bones to become heavy as your muscles begin to melt even more here. Taking another big breath in through the nose, drawing that breath up through your spine, taking that breath now all the way through each and every vertebrae until that breath comes to the very tip of your tailbone. As you exhale now, start to allow that breath to melt down your spine. Maybe allowing space to open up in between each vertebrae here in your spine, feeling the muscles that softly wrap around the bones of your spine to soften. Allowing the muscles that wrap around your shoulder blades as well to release. Give your shoulders a little shimmy, a little shake. Big breath in, and as you exhale, sinking into stillness here, maybe letting the arms sink further down towards the mat. Allowing the crown of the head to sink heavy towards the ground here as well. Maybe you feel a slight separation at the base of your neck where your skull meets the nape of your neck here. Allow that soft release. Maybe draw a little circle on the ground with the crown of the head one way, and then bring that circular motion in the other way. Either way, on the next exhale, wherever you're at, melting back into stillness. Giving 110% of yourself away here now and just completely melting into this decompression pose. One more body check as you draw a deep breath in through the nose, up through the lungs, through the chest, belly, over the hips, over the thighs, past the knees, through the shins and up to the toes. With the biggest sigh as you exhale. Once again, melting any tension that you might be holding left in your body on your final exhale here. On the next breath in, slowly start to once again wiggle the toes, circle out the ankles, start to stretch the arms out wide to the side, maybe high five your hands behind you and clasp your hands together. Extend your arms, reach those clasped hands or fists back to the room behind you as you squeeze your shoulder blades together. Gently press your chest forward, round your gaze to the ground. Take one more big breath in here, and as you exhale, press the soles of the feet in. Push the knees back, reach those fists back, gaze stays to the mat, chest pushes forward, last time. As you exhale here, releasing the arms from behind you, we'll bring our chin up to our chest, slowly grabbing onto the hammock here in between the diamond of your legs, making sure you have a nice firm hold on that fabric. Once you do, releasing the legs back around to the front side of the hammock. We're going to walk our hands up nice and high. Allow each foot to fall down to the ground here, grounding your feet back into the mat, leaning back into the hammock here or the fabric, catching yourself, allowing the elbows to bend on the back side. Fold your hands one in front of the other here at center, and dip the crown of the head forward here so your forehead just rests on your hands. Take a couple breaths here and allow all that blood flow to regulate. You should have already felt that cool rush over the top of your thighs. All that blood returning back down through the calves, through the shins, down to the toes. Once again, give those toes a wiggle. And reaching up high in the hammock, we're going to give a little tug up. Body rolling up as you tug back to a standing position. We're going to flip around, standing on the back side of the hammock, going right into our front belt stretches. Excuse me. Come to the back side of your hammock. Grabbing onto all the hammock like a rope, separate your hands here so that they're wider than hip distance apart. Pop your elbows to the front side of the hammock and push down into the material. Start to walk forward all the way until you come to front belt tension, walking until you can't come forward anymore. We're going to gently press the heels together here as we lift our heels up nice and high, grounding the balls of our feet heavy into the ground of the mat. Tightening up that core, draw your belly into your spine here. Tightening up that lower 360 core, making sure not only the lower back, but all the way down through the backs of your glutes, tops of the backs of your thighs, all the way back down to your heels here, nice and engaged. Reaching those arms out nice and wide to both sides. Roll your shoulders back, dropping them down your back and allowing the shoulder blades to gently fall together. We're going to reach those fingertips out to both sides here. Chest forward, chin neutral, gaze forward. Take a big breath in. And as you lower here, you're going to slowly lower using a nice controlled belly, keeping those arms out nice and wide to the side. Slowly start to reach those fingertips down towards the mat, keeping the heels up nice and high, gently pressing those heels together, still really grounding down into the balls of the feet. And you should really already start to feel this engagement all the way through the backs of the hamstrings. If you're not feeling it, walk forward another step. Really make sure those heels are up nice and high. Press those heels together. Ground those tented fingertips heavy down into the ground here. Remember, we're here. This is our last class of this series, so let's really give it that 110%. Give it all you've got for the next less than an hour here, okay? We're going to drop the crown of our head here. Take a big breath in. Allow lightness in the chest, and as you exhale, allow the crown of the head to get nice and heavy. Facing the knees here with your nose, pushing away from those tented fingertips. I want you to press that tailbone gently to the room behind you, keeping those heels pressed together and high off the ground. You should be feeling this really nice and heavy, or this nice stretch all the way through the hamstrings here and all the way up to the tops of the glutes or the backs of the glutes. We're going to now turn our heels to the room behind us, releasing them from one another. Take one step back with both feet. At this point, your hips or your tailbone should be underneath your hanging point on the hammock. Fingertips stay high with your tented hands here, and we're going to start to pedal out the heels. So making sure that each heel that goes down, you extend that knee, really push that heel down to create an imprint of your foot on the ground below, keeping the opposite heel up nice and high, and tailbone goes hard or goes far to the room behind you here. As you lift, you release any tension. Take a big breath in. Exhale, opposite heel goes down, really pushing down and away with those fingertips. Send that tailbone back. We're going to do 5 more with a little bit more fluidity. Inhale, rock forward. Exhale, press back, left heel down. Rock forward and down. For 4, 4. For 3, each imprint with the heel down a little bit harder or farther than last time. Each time you press down with the heel, push that tailbone back a little bit farther as well. One more time, both sides, wherever you're at, we're going to press that heel down, big bend in the opposite knee, keep the crown of the head heavy, and send your tailbone back. Release, rock forward. Last time, drop the opposite heel, push that tailbone back, big heel up with the opposite leg, and let's rock forward here. We're going to high five the ground here and release our toes coming into our flying teepee. Extend both arms out forward, big open palms down onto the ground. Drop the crown of the head here, and our toes are just hovering. We're going to start off with our lazy legs. So what that looks like is this, just what it sounds like, lazy legs. We're going to keep our palms all the way up to our hips activated, and then from our hips down to our toes, nice and soft. We're going to use the hands on the ground to start to sway right to left. Now here, what I want you to do is make sure that your chest and your belly stays glued to face the room behind you. So all of this swaying should be happening from your hips down at this point, allowing a heaviness in those lazy legs here, so that as you sway right to left and you keep your chest nice and and still. You allow the hammock or the hips to sway with the momentum a little harder, a little farther each time into that fabric as you sway to the side. Allow these sways to get as large as you can here, keeping those legs nice, lazy, and heavy here. On the last couple sways, go ahead and release the chest. So just use the palms on the ground to sway right to left. Allow the legs to follow here, nice big sways. And slowly make your way back to center stillness. So just allowing those sways to come back to stillness without too much of a force here. Until you're almost back at center, we're going to go ahead and extend those legs, touching the toes right back down to the ground. Here we're going to turn the soles of our feet in, pointing out through the toes. We're going to do little bat-toe-toes, or bat-two-toes. So what that looks like here, little flutter kicks or little ballerina feet. And we're going to start off with small little flutter kicks or scissor kicks back and forth here. And we're going to allow these little crossover kicks to get a little bit larger each time, but keeping the toes pointed and weighted down towards the ground. So each time I allow those open scissor kicks or crossovers to get bigger, the straddle opens up more, and I should feel the stretch here in the sides of my hips or psoas. We're going to do this a couple more times here. Big open straddles, now popping them out for 3. Pop them out, 2, and 1. Slowly make your way back to center here. Now from here, keeping those legs extended, toes are pointed, heels stay glued together. Once again, we're going to use that same concept. Arms are going to stay nice and straight. Palms are going to be open and glued to the mat. From your hips to your palms, no or minimal movement here. We're going to lift with our legs, nice and straight from hips to toes, nice and activated. We're going to lift our legs so that they stay together and go parallel to the ground. And now from here, we're going to just press the toes straight down. Now lift the toes right back up so legs go parallel, minimal movement or no movement in the top of the body. From here, toes press straight down. Go ahead, up again, parallel. Drop the toes down, back up for 3. Inhale, up, 2. Squeeze the glutes as you send those toes to the room behind you. So the legs stay parallel. You don't want them floating up. You can compromise falling out, but you don't want them to be low. You want them to be really nice, activated, and as parallel as you can get them to the ground. Once again, push back with the arms, palms against the mat, and drop those toes. We're going to lift them up one more time and bring them back down. Now from here, separating those legs out nice and wide, toes stay pointed. Once again, we're going to lift the legs here, staying in a straddle, coming parallel to the ground. And from here, we're just dropping the toes and bringing them down to kiss the ground. Lifting the legs back up, pop them out in a wider straddle when you lift them to float. And when you bring them down, keep them as wide as you can. Drop those toes back down. We're going to do 5 of those. Lift, up, pop them out. Drop, kiss the toes to the ground. Lift it up and out for 4. Up and out. 3. Again, up and out. 2. One more time. Lift them up and out. Bring them back down. And 1. Let's draw those toes back down or back towards center. Drop each foot to the mat now and start to walk forward, grounded here, all the way to front tension. Walk your hands up to the tops of your thighs, folding here in your neutral fold. Resting for a quick breath or 2 as you allow all that blood flow to just regulate once again. When you are ready to come back up, go ahead, drop the tailbone and body roll all the way up. Grab a sip of water if you need, and we're going to go right into our warm-ups. So for our warm-ups today, we're going to be doing a little bit of a mix of something we've done in the beginning of the series, and then from there, we're going to add in a couple fun ones to bring up our heart rate, but also to get our quads, our glutes, and our calves nice and engaged so that when we do go into our squat series, they're already fired up, they're already warmed up, and everything we do, we're making strong headway, we're making muscles, we're making difference and change in our body. So, a couple points I'll make before we get started, and of course, you know me, I'm not short-winded. I will do my best to constantly remind you of what to keep activated and what to keep nice and strong, but we're working on the lower half. So if it takes a muscle to get to a position, use the muscle. If it takes a muscle to get out of the position, hold and use that muscle. In these first warm-ups, we will be doing some jumps, whether it's in a lunge jump or whether it's in a tug jump. Whatever the jump is, you want to make sure that when you're jumping up, you're not springing with springs on the bottom of your feet. Rather, you're engaging the glutes, the thighs, the quads, the calves, the shins. And when you jump up, you're using all of these leg muscles all the way up until that lower 360 core. Complete activation. You want to have nice, what is it called, with shock absorbers on your feet. Those are your muscles. The shock absorbers are going to be your muscles here. So with that being said, we're going to start off with some tug jacks. They're going to start off at center here. We're going to go up, bring our legs out, up, bring our legs in. We're going to do 5, or a set of 5. So in, out, in, down, that's 1, so on, that'll go 5. From there, we're going to switch into our tug lunges and immediately do a set of 5. So 5, switching right to left. And then from there, we'll take a breath and get into position for some sumo jump squats. Here, starting on the back side of the hammock for our first part, we're going to reach up here, thumbs in, fingers out, reaching up nice and high. We're going to separate, or I'm sorry, we're going to keep our feet together here. And as we tug up, once again, we want to make sure that we're using all of our leg muscles. So when we hop up, we're using just a little bit of our hands and our tug to help guide us, but everything's going to be done with our legs and our glutes and our core. So as a reminder, what one set looks like, we're going to start off with a nice low bend in our knees. We're going to tug up, bring the legs out. As you land, you want to bend at the knees, come back up and in, up, out, in, and down. That'll be one set. Let's go ahead now and start together. Thumbs in, fingers out, back those hands up, thumbs on the inside, fingers wrap around the outside. Make sure that the hands are about 6 to 8 inches above the crown of the head. Elbows can stay forward or out for this one, whatever feels comfortable for you. Either way, feet start together, and we're going to start on the count of 3, 2, 1. Go ahead, bend, tug up, bring the knees out, bend, up, and down. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now straight with the right lunge to left, right to left, right, left for 2, left, 1 more, and left, back to center. Awesome. Next step here is going to be our sumo jump squats. So what that's going to look like, whew, already out of breath, you guys. So what happens when I don't have my 2 back-to-back lives now. So what we're going to do for our sumo jump squats is we're going to stand behind the hammock here, grabbing onto all that hammock like a rope, separating our hands nice and wide. Take 1 big step out to both sides. We're going to start off with our heels in, toes out, and we're going to bend into a squat, hop up and down, up. And when we jump up, once again, we want to make sure we're engaging from heel all the way up through our glutes to our lower back. We're going to do a set of 5, really making sure we hop up and come down. Using the hammock as a bar here in front of us, separate those hands nice and wide, palms down, or you can hold on, whatever you feel comfortable with. I personally like to push down and away into the hammock here, giving me a little bit more of an actual sturdy bar. So separate the legs nice and wide, heels in, toes out. We're gonna go ahead now and lower into our full squat. From here, we're gonna hop all the way up and lower for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And take a breath here. We're gonna do one more set of 5 here. Go ahead and lower all the way down. Let's pop it up. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come back up. Now here, we're gonna throw the hammock behind us, and we're gonna go into our last warm up, which is going to be our front lunges and our front lunge squats. So for this, I'm gonna give you a demo. Maybe grab a sip of water and catch your breath here if you'd like. For this one, I'm gonna start off with, or we're gonna start off with our left foot trapped in the hammock. There's 2 ways you can do that. Standing in front of your hammock here, you can balance yourself. You're taking that right arm, bringing it out, grabbing onto your left foot with your left hand, and trapping that left arch, a left ankle rather, into the hammock behind you. That way you can grab onto the hammock and find yourself back at center if you'd like here. Or if you find it easier to face the hammock, facing the hammock here, hold on to the hammock, trap your ankle. As you hold on to the hammock, turn to face the front of the room and face forward, keeping a nice bend in the trapped leg. So we're gonna start off with a front lunge squat. So standing or hopping yourself, one big hop in front of your center point. You can use your standing leg, your standing thigh here as a balance to start. What we're gonna do is keep that left, in this case, that trapped foot, that left foot flexed in your hammock. You can use your hand as a little bit of a guide if you'd like, or you can keep your hands out in front of you, straight through, or holding out straight through the fingers here. You're gonna bend that right knee, that standing leg, and you're gonna send that left leg back in the hammock. So for me, I like to keep my hands out. We're gonna come into our front lunge here, send that left or trapped foot back, bring yourself all the way back up to standing. We're gonna do 5 on the right side, and then we're gonna switch using our hands to the ground, lifting our standing foot, holding in a 5-second plank, and then dropping the opposite foot down. So if you are uncomfortable with holding in a plank, or if you are uncomfortable with that switch off, then in the meantime, release your trapped foot and then trap your opposite foot and meet us for our lunge. So let's go ahead and get started here. Trapping our left ankle. Turn around to face the front of the room here. Make sure you're a good hop in front, or a big step in front of the center point of your hammock. Skewing, felt like I was off here. And now arms can go out front, or like I said, you can have your hands on your side too. I'm sorry, I didn't say that option. You can bring your hands on your hips for a nice balance, or if you feel a little bit better for now, you can keep your hands on the top of your thigh, but make sure that you're really using the glutes to lower on the standing leg and the quad of the opposite leg to drive that leg back. So we're gonna go ahead and get started here. On the count of 3, 2, 1, we're gonna lower, bending that right knee, send that left leg back, bring it back up for 5. Lower, 4, squeeze the thighs together too, the tops or the inner thighs too, as you lower, and as you lift, bringing the thighs parallel or back in line with one another. For 4, last one, bring it up. Now here, to switch, you're gonna find your hands to the ground, big open palms, shoulders over wrists. Go ahead and lift that standing leg, bringing the foot inside the hammock to meet your other foot, both ankles trapped. Tight belly into spine here, hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Drop the opposite leg, that left foot down, to come back up into a standing position. Use your top of your thigh if you'd like here to hoist yourself back up. Either way, make sure you are 1 good step in front of the hammock here, and we're gonna go ahead, bring those arms out forward, hands on the hips, elbows out if you'd like, or both hands at the top of your standing thigh. Either way, we're gonna go ahead and get started here. 3, 2, 1. Lower here with that left knee, send that right leg back, squeeze the thighs together as you draw back up for 5. Send it back, squeeze the thighs together as you draw the knee back in. 4. Lower with that left, squeeze the thighs in. 3. Lower, squeeze, come back in. 2. One more time. Lower, squeeze, come back in. Go ahead and release that foot here. Grab your sip of water or 2 if you'd like. And grab a couple sips before we start our squats. Okay. All right, you guys, so we're gonna go ahead now. Hopefully we're starting to feel the quads, our glutes, and just some of those muscles starting to fire up, starting to warm up and let us know that they're there. Let's now take that, kick it up a step. We're gonna go to the back side of the hammock. Something a little bit different we're gonna start off with today in our squat series is we are gonna stay with our legs together here, meaning that our feet are right underneath our hips, or hip distance apart. Knees are gonna stay forward, and we're gonna go straight into a lunge, a seated lunge from here. And what we wanna do is we're gonna start off with our demis, and we're gonna do quick demis today. So we're gonna do sets of 10, and we're gonna do a pulse of 10, a hold of 10, and then immediately go into another round of quick demis for 10 count, and then a quick pulse for 10 count, and a quick hold for 10 count. That will all be with our knees forward and our feet at hip distance apart, and to our chair squats here. And we're gonna do demi, and then we're gonna do full. Then we'll open them up for our next set here. So standing here with our feet hip distance apart, or maybe just wide of the hip distance apart if you feel a little bit more comfortable with that. Remember, if you're ever feeling that your knees are uncomfortable, you can always change your foot position, or you can change the way that your legs are slightly. So we never want to cause any injury here. So hands together here, holding the hammock like a rope. Let's separate those arms nice and wide here, creating that bar for us. Palms flat, open palms here, and we're gonna round our shoulders back and down. I personally am gonna keep my feet a little bit closer together so that they are no wider than hip distance apart. And I'm gonna go ahead now and show you here. So here's our demis. We're gonna go straight into our demis. And I'm sorry, I did misspeak. We're not gonna do a full into our chairs. We're gonna do a demi full set, like I had said those. And then we're gonna be doing demis on our heels instead of doing a full chair seat. So I'll be directing that part as well. But I wanted to correct that. So starting off here, we're gonna go into a quick demi. So using all activation, we wanna go down, up, and we'll keep with that motion for 10, okay? After that, pulse for 10, hold for 10, and repeat. Shoulders back and down, arms nice out and wide. Let's go ahead on the count of 3, 2, 1. Let's lower to demi and up and lower and up. Send that bum back and up for 4, up. Make sure that your calves are nice and engaged, quads engaged, squeezing the glutes as you lift for 3, 2, don't go past demi, 1, go up, back down to demi. Here we pulse for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold this demi squat in this little awkward chair here. Make sure that your calves are engaged, your shins are engaged, your quads engaged, your glutes are engaged. Continue to hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Remember, lift, squeeze with the glutes, squeeze with the thighs, and lower. We're going to do our 10 again in squats, our demi squats. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come back up and down. Pulse for demi. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Small movements. 4, 3. Tiny movements. 2, 1. Hold for 10, 9. Send that tailbone back. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lift. Now from here, we're going to lift off of those heels, coming onto our high heels. Heels stay back though, toes stay forward. We're going to lower to demi and up for 9, 8, 7. Keep those heels up. 6, 5, 4. Spread those arms out a little wider. 3. Roll the shoulders back and down. 2, 1. Bring it down and pulse for 10, 9, 8. Small movements. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. Lift those heels. Keep those quads engaged, calves engaged, glutes engaged for 5, 4, 3. Heels up. 2, 1. Lift it up and drop. Give it a shake. Just one set of those, by the way, since we're introducing this new step. Literally step up. Now, let's go straight into our squats in our regular form. So big step out to both sides, toes out, heels in. We're keeping on our feet for now, so heels stay on the ground. Roll the shoulders back and down, arms are extended. Open up those arms out nice and wide. Palms open and flat. Create that bar in front of you. Roll your shoulders back and down. Press out and away with the hammock here. Once again, for this, we're gonna do a 10 count of our demis, going a little bit quicker. So down, up, squeezing with the side glute, squeeze with the glute, squeeze with the thighs, calves, everything you got here. Quads, we're gonna do 10, 10, 10. That's a demi, up, down, pulse, hold. And we're gonna do that a full 2 times. All right, you guys. So let's go ahead in the count of 3 and go and lower into our demis. 1, 2, 3, bring it down and up, squeeze up, down, squeeze it up for 8, up, 7, pick up the pace, 6, 5, don't stop squeezing and engaging, 4, press those knees back, tuck that tailbone in, keep those glutes engaged here, 4, 3, 2, and 1, bring it back to demi. Let's pulse for 10. Remember, knees back, tuck the tailbone, engage the glutes, side glutes here, tiny motions. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hold here. You should feel this in your quads. You should feel this in your calves. Press those knees back. Feel it in the glutes for 5, 4, 3, 2. Now here's the thing, when we go up, I want you to squeeze your bum cheeks together. This may sound a little ludicrous, but like you have a diamond here that you cannot let go of, and it's being held here by your bum. Some of my girls from our old studio remember this one. Let's squeeze as we lift up. Don't let that diamond go anywhere. Let's go through that same set one more time. Demi down, squeeze it up, down, up. Don't lose that diamond. Down, up, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring it down, pulse for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, knees back, tuck that tailbone, engage the glutes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Squeeze as you lift up. Awesome. All right, let's go into our fulls here. We're going to bring it down and up for full squat, all the way down, up, up. So remember, for these, you want to make sure knees are stacked over ankles or between ankles and toes here. On the count of 3, we're going to go ahead, start right away with that 10, 10, and 10. Roll the shoulders back and down. Tuck the tailbone, engage the glutes, engage the core all the way through the feet. 3, 2, 1, down. 10, 9, 8, 7. Keep that tailbone tucked. Squeeze the glutes. Don't lose that diamond. 4, 3, knees back. 1, bring it down. Pulse. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. Remember, thighs parallel here, knees back, tuck that tailbone. Hold engagement for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Squeeze it up. Whew. Toe heel in. Grab a sip of water. Don't go too much into recovery. We have all that to repeat on our heels. Now, I don't know if for those of you that noticed, with our full squats, I did count in a double count for our pulses and our holds to give us that extra time, that extra engagement, and to get us a little bit extra here on this 4th class. So they did take longer. They were there for more. You did show up for more and do more reps. So let's go ahead, knock it out of the park for the last ones. For this, we're going to stick with 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. All on our high heels. So we're going to do our demis, up and down, pulses, and holds, and then our fulls, up, down, pulse, and hold. Let's go ahead here, standing below where the hammock hangs. Separate those arms out nice and wide open, those palms pressing down and away in that hammock to create a shelf. Roll your shoulders back and down. Take a big step out to both sides with both of your feet. Let's go ahead and lift those heels off of the ground. Remember, at any point, if you feel that you're overextending your heel or your ankle rather, please take a moment and correct your posture. Make sure that you're monitoring your resistance in your body here. You can always go back, catch up, repeat, do it as many times as you'd like. Let's make sure we're doing it in the right form. You're here by yourself with me, and so there's no one to impress. Showing up, you should be impressed with yourself here. Okay, so sorry, I saw the water the wrong way. Arms out and away. Roll those shoulders back and down. Go ahead and instantly remember that toaster analogy. Tuck the tailbone here. Engage the glutes. Don't forget about that diamond. So once again, what does that mean? I'm giving you the largest diamond, bigger than the Hope diamond. And I'm telling you, you gotta hide this. And you're just gonna stick it right here, just in between those bum cheeks, and you're gonna squeeze and you're gonna hold to the end of this exercise. And if you can keep that diamond there the whole time, it's yours to keep at the end. Sounds pretty silly, but if you keep thinking about that diamond, you'll be amazed at how much it helps. So roll the shoulders back and down. That's enough talking. Lift those heels up nice and high. Highest high heels you own, or wish you never did, or wish you did. Either way, we're going to go ahead now on the count of 3. Lower into our demis. 3, 2, 1. Demi lower up. And 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and lower. Let's pulse. Heels high, knees back, tuck that tailbone, engage the glutes, engage the core for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hold for 10, 9. Tuck that tailbone, squeeze the glutes. Remember that diamond, don't let it go. Press those knees back. Squeeze and engage that core for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Squeeze, don't lose that diamond. Keep on those heels if you can. Let's lower it down to full. Bring it up and down. Up for 9, up, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring it down. Let's pulse. Knees back. Tuck that tailbone. Bring those thighs or quads as parallel as you can for 5, 4. I'm right here with you. 3, 2, 1. Tuck that tailbone. Lower those quads. Hold it. Knees back for 5, 4, 3. Tuck that tailbone. 2, 1. Squeeze up. Heels down. Shake it out. Bring it in. Take a moment here. Grab some water. Grab a sweat rag. Whew. Take a moment to catch your breath and recovery. Whew. I don't know about you girls, but I'm already feeling the Jello effect, which is good. Change, but it's real and it's happening and I feel it. So take your time here. And whatever your recovery looks like, whether it's just a moment to yourself, catching your breath or getting some water, I'm personally going to jump into my swing. So if you'd like to meet me here, when you get done, I'm going to take a moment in swing to just give myself a little deep tissue massage. So like the weeks before, keeping the knees bent, pressing the feet down towards the ground, almost like you're bicycling in a bowl of honey, creating some resistance as you press down. You should be feeling this all here on the sides of the thighs, sides of the glutes here, or underneath the tops of the thighs. If you would like a little extra deep tissue massage, you can go ahead and grab onto both pieces of hammock with both hands, or even just grabbing them and squeezing them a little closer. Either way, holding onto all that hammock. If you can, knees up nice and high, toes bent down towards the ground, and pedal it out nice and fast for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring it back here. Now we're going to lower for our bridge series here. Going all out in our bridge series today. We do have everything fired up already, lots of engagement going on in our legs, our calves or glutes, all the way through. So we want to keep that engagement, really giving it our all for our last exercises here. Keeping with a 10 count as we're sitting in swing, I'll go ahead and explain what we're going to be doing, similar to all the weeks before. Excuse me. Be keeping a nice quick pace with our bridges, with our up downs, and with our frogs, with our in and outs, but never losing that full activation. Remember, you're showing up, you're here. So however much you want to give, that's on you. And you always have room to add. You always have room to grow. That's the beautiful part about this practice and the way that we've set it up. Hopefully you continue to watch these through the weeks, upcoming weeks, build upon them, maybe speckle them, sprinkle them throughout your other practices. Get used to them, because as we move forward, these will all be used in a lot of our upcoming classes for further series and just further classes I'll be holding. So with that being said, enough of that. When we get down and we lower onto the ground for our bridge series, we're going to make sure that we get into the right starting position. We're going to go into our bridges. We're going to go up, down for a count of 10, up and hold in a bridge. Pulse and hold. We're going to alternate and we're going to do 10, 10, 10, and 10. So 10 pulse, hold 10, 10 pulse, hold 10, lower it back down and immediately bring it all the way up to high bridge, bringing it up and down rather quickly for a 10 count, but quickly and engaged. Then bringing it back up for a 10 pulse, 10 hold, 10 pulse, 10 hold. Lowering it back down, resetting for our frog. We're gonna do the same thing once we get up into our bridge. We're gonna go in and out, 10 count for frog, and then a double series of 10 counts for pulse and hold. After all of that, we'll take a breather and get ready for our final toe ups and our hip ups, okay? So we're reaching up nice and high on that hammock, keeping those knees together and bent toes pointed down towards the ground. Here, slowly start to lower the tailbone down towards the mat, drawbridging down, lowering the hands down towards the knees. Let's go ahead and tighten the core here. Challenge ourselves for an awesome possum. Once again, if you are not comfortable in this, do not worry. Go ahead, hold on with one hand, take your other hand, find the ground, lower yourself onto your elbow. Keep a nice tight core as you do this though. All the engagement you can, the better. Whoop. There's my extra hair here. For everybody that wants to give this awesome possum a good go for it, once again, toes stay pointed, ankles are going to stay glued together here. Tightening that core, let's lower our shoulder blades so they're parallel to the ground or the mat below. Reaching out with both hands here, fingertips reaching to the front of your room here. Our arms are parallel to the ground. Slowly using that core, lowering your shoulders, your back to the ground. Once your shoulders find the ground here, let's go ahead, take those big open hands and give ourselves a nice big scoot. We want to make sure that we give our head a big scooch to the back of the room here, or to be more specific, once you bring your heels together, send your toes out and extend your legs in your drawbridge. Your ankles should be around underneath that hanging point of your hammock. So let me move my battery pack. All right, you guys, so like I said, ankles should be about below where your hammock hangs. Spine is imprinted on the ground below you. Shoulder blades are most definitely imprinted on the ground. Shoulders too. Arms out to the side. Palms are down and flat here. Take a big breath in. As you inhale, filling up the lungs, feeling that chest expansion. Big 360 expansion in your rib cage. Belly fills. You feel that lower back arch slightly here as you fill your belly with fresh air. As you exhale, blow out those 50, 100, 200 candles on the cake. As you blow out through your mouth, pushing all that oxygen outside of your body, you should feel your lower spine and your pelvic floor drop down to the mat. That's going to be our starting position. Making sure you have a slight tuck in that tailbone here. Lower back, lower spine imprinted. Go ahead and tighten that lower core. And arms out to the side. On the count of 3, we're going to go ahead and get started right away with our 10 bridge ups. On the count of 3, 2, 1, let's bring it up and down. Up and down. When you bring it up, squeeze the glutes together as you lift it. Kiss the ground with your tailbone as you lower it up and down. For 5, squeeze it, drop it. 4, 3, squeeze. 2, squeeze, and 1, bring it down and back up to bridge. Let's pulse. We're pulsing here with our glutes and the tops of our thighs, the tops of our quads. No movement in the hammock here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and hold. Full engagement here through your calves, your quads, your glutes, your thighs, your lower core, your back. Engage for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pulse it. 10, 9, 8, 7, squeeze. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, squeeze and hold. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Don't forget that diamond, squeezing here, sides of the glutes, tops of the thighs. 2 and 1, let's lower. As soon as that tailbone, lower back hits the ground, bring it all the way up to high bridge and lower. Squeeze it up, squeeze, down, and up, squeeze, down. For 6, squeeze, down. 5, squeeze. 4, squeeze, down. 3, down. 2,
down, hips all the way up, squeeze, down, bring it back up one more time, squeeze, and down. Come back all the way to high bridge. From high bridge, let's pulse. 10, 9, 8, 7. You shouldn't even be able to see this movement, only feeling it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Squeeze and hold. Hips up to the ceiling. Full engagement in the glutes, quads, lower core, 360 degrees from your belly to your lower back for 5. Squeeze it. 4, 3, 2, 1, and pulse. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Squeeze, hold for 10, 9, hips up, squeeze glutes. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, keep squeezing. 2, and 1, lower it down. Now bring it back up to bridge. Frogging in, heels in, knees down, hips up, push out. Remember that analogy. You are in a big, thick bowl of molasses or honey, whatever it is, to create that resistance. As you pull your heels in, knees out nice and wide, knees go down, hips go up, squeeze the glutes and the tops of the thighs, press out through your heels, bring it in, down, up, press out for 7. Knees in, hips up, squeeze the glutes, push out. 6, knees in, down, up, out. 5, in, down, up, out. 4, in, down, up, out. 3, bring it in. Remember, push those heels out. 2, one more full set, knees in, down, hips up, squeeze the glutes, push out. Bring it in. We're going to pulse here. Knees down, hips up, squeeze glutes for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. Knees down, hips up, squeeze the glutes, heels in for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pulse last time. 10, 9. Remember, no or hardly any movement in that hammock. Pulse at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. Full engagement. Full squeeze. Last hold for 8, 7, 6, 5. Knees down, hips up. Squeeze the glutes. 4, 3, 2, 1. Press those heels out. Extend the legs and slowly lower each vertebrae to the mat or the ground. Take a moment here. Try not to release those feet if you don't have to. Keep it up just a little bit longer. We have one more round, or I should say 2 rounds, but one more round here to both sides. We're going to lift back up to our bridge, releasing our left foot, left leg, toe touches or toe pulses to the ceiling for 10, crossing that leg over, thigh crosses over parallel, lifting with that hip for 10. We switch legs and do it with our right. And then we are done. You guys are almost there. We are almost there. I'm right there with you. So let's go ahead and get right back into it. Arms out to the side, heels together, toes out wide. Go ahead and lift the body up here to a bridge pose. We're going to keep that right foot flexed and trapped inside the hammock. Release that left leg. Point the toes up to the ceiling, and we're lifting here with our hips and our glutes for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Keep those hips up high. Cross that left leg over the body, parallel to the ground. Hip up for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Remember, you're lifting with that bottom hip here, so that right hip in this case. 2, 1. Lift that left leg, bring it back into the hammock and switch. Last side. Right toes point to the ceiling. Lift 10, 9, 8, 7. We're doing this with the left glute. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Cross that right leg over. Lift with that left hip for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring that right leg back, one vertebrae at a time. Slowly lower the spine back to the ground. Maybe bend the knees closer to the body. Release each foot one at a time. Drawing your thighs and knees close to the body here, hugging your knees into your chest. Go ahead and rub out the shins, circle out the ankles. Wiggle out the toes. I know we're a couple minutes over that 8 o'clock mark, you guys. We are done. Let's just let this little cool off happen here. Little recovery. Take some deep breaths. We went hard here at the end today for sure. I'm going to come closer to you guys, but feel free to stay where you're at or to climb into a cocoon, whatever feels good here. I am so grateful that you all showed up here to the classes, whether it was in the lives or rewatching them on the recordings. You guys are amazing, and I really look forward to many more classes, much more to come. I will send or say once more as a reminder before signing off this way, anyone that jumped on after or maybe that didn't hear me say this before or when you're watching the class, the bonus classes are coming up. So this is the last class 4 of 4 for the series, for the August series. So these will be up all the way through September, all the way to October. I can't remember the date, but it's the first week in October. You'll have plenty of time before they go anywhere, if they do. And so don't worry about that. I'll always keep you updated. But next Monday at 7 p.m., I am going to be holding another live. That is going to be bonus class number 1. And we are going to be doing a low hammock restorative base class, working on restoration of our body, but definitely that lower half that we've been working so hard on. So really opening up our spine, our lower spine, our hips, our hamstrings, our IT bands, everything in nice, slow, yummy, restorative movements close to the ground. So stay tuned. Again, I will update this week. I will put everything up onto a Facebook post as well. Email anyone that does not get the Facebook posts. But next Monday, 7 p.m., that'll be bonus number 1. And for that second final bonus, I will hold that a couple weeks thereafter, most likely towards that 3rd week in September. And it will be a full out 1-hour class where we will touch on things from our front belt series, things from this series, upcoming new moves. That will be for our upper body series. That will be our next series, focusing on starting in October. So we'll touch on some of that. And I will be putting out some polls in the next couple weeks too, with some questions just to get your feedback. Do a live talk too, because I want to do some Q&A, all that. So more information to come. Thanks for being here. And I will be posting this here soon. And I hope you guys are all doing great. Talk to you later.